Well, hello, loves, and welcome back to Musey's Modern Dreadfuls. And today we are starting a very short mini-series. I'm back on my radio play mini-series kick. This is a story from friend of the channel and personal friend, N.M. Brown, called The Untethering. And away we go. Fresh tear tracks cascade down my cheeks, feeling like acid dripping slowly towards my breaking heart. I've put my heart and soul into a relationship for 2 years, only to figure out that a lifetime wouldn't have been enough. My mind is consumed in a spider's web of questions, each branching off into 3 other questions of their own. Ultimately, I know I could ask all of them and the answers wouldn't matter. Nothing matters to someone who's given away their soul. Justin and I met at a bowling alley when I was halfway through my teenage years. He had just entered his 20s. The age difference wasn't evident immediately. We were so taken with each other that we didn't even think to ask. He called me every chance he got after that first night. I'd never been with anyone intimately, and though we definitely had the chance, Justin never pushed me. He was romantically experienced, had a full-time job, and sold medicinals legal in parts of the country on the side to boot. We would get together anytime we could during the weekends. I was a high school girl who lived with mommy and daddy. I didn't even know how to smoke a cigarette without exhaling through my nose. While Justin had been shown pleasures and had real adult experiences with women. Normally, the pressure of a situation like this would break lesser girls, but not me. Justin was happy just to be with me. We didn't have to smoke, have sex, or do anything sexual at all. We didn't have to do anything other than hold each other, talk, and laugh. It was my first pure relationship. My heart broke to see it end. But the best summertime romances usually do, though, right? The good old Danny and Sandy scenario. Summer lovin' had me a blast. Anyway, Justin had come to my town with his friend Vance for a funeral. Vance's mother had killed herself all these years later, and I still don't know how or why. But that's for another day. Well, when it came time for Vance to go back home to a state that was practically across the country, Justin had no choice but to leave with him. We both moved on with our lives, but the thought of Justin always sat dormant in the back of my mind, as first loves often do. I married young, built a home with my husband, and gave him 2 sons. Unbeknownst to me, he did just about the same. Both of our paths ended in divorce. And that's what started the pathway of bullshit and destruction that led us up to this point. 15 years later, a message pops up in my request folder. Hey, remember me? One message. Only one social media message started me on the path to hell. Yeah, I know. I didn't have to respond. Sure. But I wanted to. My heart and mind were entranced with the fact that he even remembered who I was and that I once meant something to him. It all felt so wonderful. We fell right back into the groove we had found 15 years earlier. It was only the natural order of things that we meet up again. He drove all the way across the country non-stop to see me. We played house for 4 wonderful days. I don't need to tell you the details. You already know that we finally slept together. It was so much more than that, though. It was talking and laughing and reeking of garlic from dinner together. He taught me new things and looked at me in such a way that I felt a way I've never felt before. I thought I had done the same for him. I'd desperately hoped so, anyway. As high as we rose together, towards the heavens of soul-entwining bliss, we came crashing down to hell that much harder. At first, it was just little things. I went from hearing every aspect about his day to entire 24-hour periods with no contact. I guess I shouldn't have said no contact. I tried to get a hold of him plenty. To no avail. He would call me later, tell me he was depressed because of the distance and didn't feel like talking. Then we both got jobs with clashing schedules. Then a week went by. This excuse was that his mother was dying and he was tending to family matters. Next thing I know, I couldn't reach him for a month. I didn't know if he was dead, sad, doing someone else, etc. Eventually, I gave up and we fell out of touch for over a year. He wrote me to apologize one day out of the blue, just like the first time. I forgave him. Once we talked again and picked up where we left off. The disappearances happened a few more times over the next year, but I'd always take him back. I know. Fool me once, shame on me. Fool me twice, shame on you. But I'd loved this man for half of my entire life. I'd mostly kept all thoughts about Justin to myself. I hadn't had that many friends locally, and the ones that I'd bare my soul to all lived out of state. What other option was there? I even went to therapy, for God's sake. It's not like I could afford to drive 22 hours cross country or book a plane ticket just to ask why the fuck someone was ignoring me. I'm pretty sure they have shows on ID Discovery about that kind of behavior anyway. Glenn Close flashed through my mind repeatedly in her white dress. I mean, I'm not going to be ignored. That scene. That's not who I wanted to be. I finally opened up to a close friend, Wayne, about all that I've been going through after texting Justin that my father was in the hospital and him asking for cigarette money in response. This wasn't the man I'd known and loved since my heart was old enough to know how to feel the act. Whatever magic we did have was blackened and twisted into a symbiotic need on both parts. I needed my heart to catch up with reality. Anyway, my friend told me about this ritual, metaphorical healing more than anything else, really. And with that, we have part 1 of The Untethering by N.M. Brown. And I hope you enjoyed. It's a quick mini-series. You should have part 2 very soon. Now that you've heard the outro sound, you don't have to stick around if you're one of the new people. This is when I usually just chit-chat with people who are interested and might want to know things coming up. There will be another collab like the last one in the future, and I will let you guys know when that is beginning to start up, because it usually takes some time. But I also want to let you know that for sanity, I am getting off the grid for like a week. I think I'm going to be able to pre-record things, so I'll have my editors drop them. Hopefully, at least the other half of this story. Yes, I'll make sure the other half of this story. But yeah, I'm about to leave for several days, so I will be back. And Yippy-Ki-Ya, Musey-Lovers, thank you for hanging out with me today. I will talk to you soon. Bye now.